From the back roads and courthouse steps of small-town South Carolina to the late-night studio where the mics never sleep, this is where decisions, rumors, and real stories collide. You're tuned in to the Pot Stirrer Podcast with Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, local issues, no fluff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and happy Monday, July the 27th. And by the way, congratulations to all the school teachers here in Oconee County. They went back to school today after a much-needed vacation and break. And by the way, school starts coming up on August the 4th, next Tuesday. We want to welcome you into the Pot Stirrer Podcast. I am yours truly, Jazzy Jeff, and we're just going to jump right in this evening to the show because we've got a action-packed. And as we've been telling you for the last couple of weeks, this evening we've got the wonderful sheriff of Oconee County, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Crenshaw. How many years now total you've got in law enforcement? You've been a sheriff since 2012.
Yes, sir.
So how many years total you got in law enforcement now?
Later this year, I will start my 40th year. I will begin my 40th year.
Good.
I started in Westminster in 1986.
Wow. And then, of course, your daddy was on the sheriff's force with, was it Myron Green?
He worked for Floyd Owens.
Oh, that goes back even to the 60s.
In the 60s, and then worked for Myron in the 70s.
Wow. And there's a picture of you. I've seen this picture of you with your dad at a moonshine still, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Gosh.
Yes, sir. They with Myron Green, they busted this moonshine still out at Madison, and he needed some help. So Dad came and picked me and my two brothers up, and I remember there must have been 1,000 milk jugs out there that they had. That was my chore, going around picking up those milk jugs.
I remember the story about Myron. I think it was his wife. They were up on top of the mountain. And they saw a car. I think it was pulled over up off 107 or something, and they had to tow that thing back to Walhalla because it was full of moonshine.
Yes,
and
sir.
I guess that was the good old days of Oconee because the only thing we had to worry about was moonshine.
I got in on the tail end of that, and I never thought I'd say this, but it might be nice to go back to them days.
I'm telling you, I think we would all trade those in a heartbeat.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mike, there's so much happening here going on at the Sheriff's Department, and I want to jump right in our conversation because I don't want to take up too much of your time. The first thing I want to ask and talk to you about, of course, this is a story that I know is near and dear to your heart, and is, of course, Lucas Watson. Just one of the history-making things that happened, a deputy getting shot. And the story and the outcome from that is just tremendous. And we want to find out, how is Lucas and his family doing?
Lucas is continuing with therapy. I guess his biggest challenge right now for folks to keep him in your prayers, short-term memory. And Jeff, you and I probably struggle with short-term memory sometimes ourselves.
We're getting old, Mike.
But that's a challenge for Lucas right now. So he's still going to therapy, but he's walking on his own. He knows people, carries on conversations, watching his son grow up. I think I saw him this past summer driving a jet ski on the lake.
Oh, wow.
So he's physically doing good. The doctor would not let him come back, and so he ended up going on out on disability. But I've told him, I said, Lucas, at some point, if you're willing to share your story, you can still make a difference in the lives of others the way you were doing when you were a deputy sheriff. And so we'll see what God has in plan for him.
Well, God definitely isn't done, and I think God has a much bigger, in the scheme of life, I think God's got a much bigger purpose for Lucas.
I agree.
And just remembering that evening well and how everything just came. There were so many people that just stepped up to the plate. I mean, we had officers running around from other parts of the county to get here. I mean,
sir.
When the call went down, officer down, it was as if we all became one for that moment with our local law enforcement. Pickens and Anderson County, and everybody just jumped right on the scene. But I did see the story, I think Dr. Kanos. There was an interview that he conducted or something. I don't remember where I saw it at, but Dr. Canis really worked miracles. Mm-hmm. He did. He worked an absolute miracle to have Lucas back, and we're thankful for that.
Absolutely, yeah. He told the story that he saw his wife go in and touch him, and he said he made a conscious move. It wasn't a subconscious, but he saw him move, and he said, I made the decision to just get him on into surgery.
What is the state of the sheriff's department right now? Are you fully staffed? Are you facing any shortages at the sheriff's department currently?
We're in the process of filling some open positions. Of course, I ended up losing 3 great deputies to the city of Walhalla, with Aaron Alexander going as chief and David Carr going as captain, and then Deputy Merriman leaving me as well and going up there to handle their administrative end for the police department.
Well, half the sheriff's department left and went to Walhalla, huh?
So we great officers, but hey, I'm proud for them. It was an advancement for those folks, and we had some folks that were capable of stepping up. So we're going through the interview process now. We've got I've got 2 retirements coming up. I've got one coming up Friday, another investigator retiring in August. So we'll fill those positions. I think we in the 5-6 range, counting those 2 retirements to fill. Got 1 opening in dispatch and 3 or 4 openings in detention center.
Well, as long as Rashad Crook stays with you, you'll be fine.
Yes, sir. We're glad to have Rashad as well.
We certainly are. Salaries, everything going well as far as the salaries in the sheriff's department?
Well, we'd like, I'm very appreciative to council.
Yes.
In my 14 years of being sheriff, we've gone from, when I came in, it was $29,120 a year. And we've gone to 47.5. So county council has supported us. Some big increases. You look around. We still need to get past that 50 mark. I think stay competitive, and working with Chairman Durham and council, I think they're committed to helping us get there as well.
Well, they did. They took a leap of faith and worked hard to making sure that our public safety folks, the amount of things that they are required to do, and making sure that they're adequately paid for the market analysis. I think we took a look at it, and you had others at the time that were making way more than we were even paying, and it was hard to compete when they could go get a job as a sergeant in other departments for $70-something thousand.
Yes, sir. So we still got to do that, but hey, council's been good to us. The windshields, that's something that the ballistic windshields that council moved forward with after Lucas got shot. Nobody else in the state of South Carolina has that but Oconee County Sheriff's Office, and that's because of our council.
That was a huge moment there for getting that, and it's just another safety tool for the officers that are facing all kinds of things when they're out. Let me ask this about the calls and crimes. Drug calls increasing, decreasing? How's the drug situation in the county?
It's an ongoing battle. For us constantly. We've got folks that are working big, large-scale drug cases, and we've got narcs that are working your street level buys on a constant basis. But we're still seeing drugs coming in, maybe not the greatest amount we've seen, but still coming in through Mexico.
Fentanyl and all of that too.
From fentanyl being mixed with most every drug we deal with now. Have to be very careful with that as well. We were talking before we went on the show that there are some scams that are going around right now within Oconee County. Talk a little bit about some of these scams that some of our citizens are facing. If you haven't seen on the news, yesterday Anderson Hospital lost their internet and phone and all, but someone hacked their system. Basically was holding them hostage. If they didn't pay X amount of dollars, they were going to release all this personal information. So if someone has been to Anderson Hospital, I would encourage you to maybe go to the 3 reporting agencies. I'm going to leave this with you. Sure. It's got the numbers, but Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, maybe consider putting a freeze on your credit. And then start checking your credit on that annualcreditreport.com. You see something unusual, get that reported, but there's some information on that. I'll leave that with you. Great. And then and this is getting to be a huge deal with the cyber attacks that's going on. And many years ago, about maybe 10, 15 years ago, Oconee County had a cyber attack. We did, very similar. It was very similar, where you have someone either locally or someone international that's hacking these. And it's a hostage situation because they want you to pay X amount of dollars, like go down and buy gift cards and $400 or $500 in gift cards, and then we'll release your information. Well, again, there's no guarantee they're going to release your information either. A lot of it's funded terrorism. That they work in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week around the world trying to hack into to these systems.
What was the other scam you're talking about? It was a jailhouse scam?
Jailhouse scam. This has just came to light. We're in the process of, they might have put something out late this afternoon, but someone has been looking at our daily arrest report that we release and Googling, we think, or either using maybe AI to search for that defendant's relatives.
Wow.
You can go online sometimes, just on Google and find, and then calling them and saying, hey, this is Sergeant Johnson. That's the name they've been using. I don't even have a Sergeant Johnson. We can get so-and-so out of jail for you. It's going to be $1,000. Need you to go to Walgreens.
Get a gift card.
Get a gift card,
And then call and give me the number of that gift card, and then we'll get your relative out.
So we had that happen Saturday. The lady was at Walgreens, and the clerk told her, hang up the phone. It's a scam. So she was that close to becoming a victim. And then I heard of another lady that got a call that she wasn't even related to the guy in jail, but they had the same last name. So that's why we think it's AI or Googling trying to find relatives. She did, the defendant did have another person by the same first and last name that was related to him, but not the one they called.
Well, one thing I have seen is that folks tune into the local paper or wherever. You did get rid of you've got the street name, but you got rid of the address on the arrest reports, which I kind of think that's a good idea to do,
sir.
Because with everything going on, somebody could easily take a look at that address and do exactly what you're talking about.
Or potentially identify a victim.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's important we protect our victims. So here's the message.
Don't get arrested.
The sheriff's office is, well, that's one. Message two, nobody from the sheriff's office, we can't even take money. We can't take bonds. You have to go to the magistrate's office to pay the bond, to satisfy the bond, and the judge issues an order release. So nobody from the sheriff's office or Oconee Detention will ever call you asking you to go somebody's bond.
Yep.
So if you get that phone call, notify us, but hang it up. We think the numbers are being spoofed. Our two investigators are following up on that now. But wanted to get that out to everybody because it seems to be picking up some steam here, and we don't want nobody to become a victim.
We're getting into fall and we're getting into winter, and some of our criminals have nothing better to do but sit around and come up with scams.
That's it.
And also, too, you can stay up to date with the scams that Jimmy does a good job on the Sheriff's Department Facebook page and Twitter or X of getting out these scam informations.
Yeah, at least once a month he puts out a scam alert, and if you want to get a copy of that, call us, and we'll be glad to get your email, and he can forward you a copy of that too.
Is there any other scams that are going on that our citizens need to be aware of?
There's some others that they're working on. I don't have all the details.
Right.
He'll put that out, but I know I've talked to the victims today on the jail scam, and I want to get that out to everybody.
I wanted to ask you, one of the things when you became sheriff in 2012 that was near and dear was the issue with domestic violence. You worked hard to rally the troops for the Safe Harbor House back 2013-14. How about domestic violence calls? Have they increased or decreased, or are they holding their own?
We've dropped just a little bit. Nothing like we would like to see them. And I guess I keep reminding myself we didn't get into this overnight. And it's going to take time, but I think we got the law changed.
Yes,
from a misdemeanor,
right.
from a 30-day misdemeanor to a 10-year felony.
Right, got it. Yes.
So I think that was a big plus for us. That shelter was vital, I think, as well.
It was.
We've had some leadership. Becky Callahan retired, and so we've got some new leadership with the shelter.
Well, we had an issue with COVID
went
too.
Through COVID,
shut it down for a bit.
It did. So we're back up and running with Safe Harbor. But, we've still got to continue trying to educate these victims. Sometimes it takes up to 7 times before that victim will leave. And so it's a constant ongoing battle.
I want to ask you, as much as Oconee, you started in 1986 at Westminster. When did you go to work for the Sheriff's Department? Was it in the 90s?
87.
87, a year later.
Yes, sir.
Growth. And I know that is a sore topic for a lot of folks around here, but the growth, how has it changed policing in Oconee County?
Jeff, there was a time when we knew most everybody in Oconee County. We knew who their relatives were.
We know their mom and daddy, and we could send them home if they were doing something wrong.
And could call mom and daddy. Lots of folks now, we don't have that luxury. So, that's a challenge that I keep issuing to our deputies now. It's still the basic fundamental police work has not changed of how we do our jobs. You've still got to get out here and get to know citizens. So
community orienting policing, that was your whole thing.
Absolutely, and it still is. To me, that's how police work law enforcement was designed to work. Law enforcement needs to know the community it serves. And I tell these new deputies, if you want to be successful, get out here, learn these people. Over time, you'll earn their trust. When something bad happens,
they're going
to call you.
They will call you, and that is good. The relations between the deputies, because at one time, Mike, you know as well as I do, there was a real issue between the relations between the deputies and the citizens.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, when that happened, you came on board as the sheriff, and you worked hard to change the command structure of the sheriff's department, but also to put community police orienting, to get the deputies to get engaged with the community.
Absolutely.
One of those, I have to say, is about Sergeant Mulwee. Mm-hmm. That gentleman loves to help people.
He does.
He's got a heart. He's got a heart of gold for public service. He's got a heart of gold for the community. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of the many stories of the success that you've had with the sheriff's department.
That's why we do our community meals.
Yes, and that's another great opportunity.
In Fair Play,
you were up here last year in Salem up here.
We're going in August. We'll be at Ebenezer Community Club.
Okay, in Ebenezer.
The exact date. Yep. We'll put that out. Come by. Get to know us before you need us.
Well, back to school time in Oconee County, sir. And want to find out about the school resource officers and as sheriff, are they prepared for the return of the students coming up August the 4th?
Getting prepared. They're actually in training this week.
Right.
Getting their yearly active shooter training, mm-hmm. their yearly qualifications on their firearm, their TAC med training, defensive tactics. All their training that they go through, they'll do that. They're in the process of doing that this week. And then they'll start back up next week. We're starting this year with one more school resource officer than we had. Our council and school district discussed this, and the school district funded a position basically gives us a floater.
This is a floater, okay, right.
So when somebody's out for court, somebody's out sick, seems like we always have something going on, somebody's out. We don't want to leave that school unattended, so we've got a sergeant now that can float around and fill in, and it also gives us an opportunity. We've added Sarah, our canine. I don't know if you know we had a canine in our schools.
I think I did. Is it a lab?
A lab.
Yes,
yeah,
I did.
She's a lab.
I've met Sarah before.
But Sarah is, she can track.
Yeah.
Of course, she can detect drugs. And then Sarah's trained on gunpowder, which means she can detect bullets, guns in schools. Yeah. And she's trained on nicotine, which is
the vape pens.
Vape pens. So that's going to free. The sergeant can go to QE Elementary, where her base is, and relieve him, and he can go around to the other schools as needed.
That's where because my wife, of course, is a teacher at QE Elementary. She's in the second grade. That's where I've seen our puppy. Matter of fact, if you're interested, I'll let you take Jack, and you can do some training with Jack, the pup. I'm sure he'd work hard for you.
I say QE Elementary now. He's moved over to Westminster.
Oh, Westminster now?
He's over at Orchard Park
now
at another school. But I guess, let's talk about next week. First week of school, lines are going to be long.
Yes.
School buses are going to be out, so slow down.
Have patience.
After the first week, we see it every year. The lines tend to level out somewhat, but the lines will be longer next week. Of course, you remember we got safes in our schools now for the long rifles.
Yes.
The foundation funded that, so every school, so that deputy carries his patrol rifle in the school every day, which is another plus for us. The new position, the district went forward with the warning system, Syntegics. Mm-hmm. So every school employee has the panic button.
Has the panic buttons now.
And Jeff, it's great. We've tested this thing several times, but when it's pushed, that deputy can see on his phone where in that school that teacher is, or that school personnel that pressed the button, where the danger's at. And if the danger starts moving and others start pressing it, then we can track that. So when they get there, time saves lives.
Yes.
So when they get there, if they know exactly where to go, I think Syntegic is another step. And of course, this district is now going forward. They've got some metal detectors. Mm-hmm. Don't have them for every school yet, but they're mobile. They move them around. And so I think that's a big step for us as well.
You know, it's a shame, though, Mike, that we have to do all of this because
It
we
is.
came up in a time in our day that
You and I did.
we did. We came up in a time or day that, number one, if you didn't do what you were going to do, you got your butt beat. And then when you got home, you got your butt beat again.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, it's not like that anymore. And the sad thing of it is kids will never get to know about how things work anymore. I mean, you know, I think we grew up in the greatest generation sometimes that, you know, we could come, we worked hard, but yet we respected our mamas and daddies. And I don't see that family unit as much as we used to have growing up either.
We don't. So it's important that, you know, we look for the warning signs. You know, we've been trained on that. And just from Columbine, you know, Jeff, after Columbine, we were trained 2 people or 4 people before you go in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's you're waiting. Your lives are being lost. So we're training our folks now. You know, if you're the first one there and you're by yourself, you go in.
Yeah.
You know, we got to stop that threat, and we got to stop it immediately and as quickly as we can. And so training has changed, but yeah, and, you know, look at all the advancements we've had.
I know.
With schools, and we still trying to think every day, what else can we do to make them even safer?
Because I'm telling you, with all of this that's happening around the world, and you talk about AI, I dare to say in another 10 years what this country is going to look like and how things are going to respond, because AI is just wide open.
It is. And look how much it's advanced
In just the last year.
You know, there was a time when we started, you could say, you know, give me a catfish, and it'd give you a picture of a cat and a picture of a fish.
Yeah.
Right?
And now,
But now it's
it'll give you a little bit of everything.
A picture and all.
Do you have anything else you want to address before we get into our next topic? Because it's the one that I think everybody right now is wanting to hear.
Pretty much on the schools. We've covered that. So just like I say, just slow down. Be careful next week. If you have any issues, any problems, we'll have deputies providing some extra patrol in the school zones as well.
Don't be speeding the school zones either.
Just slow down.
Slow down a little bit. Of course, Tuesday night you spoke before the Law Enforcement Committee prior to the County Council meeting last Tuesday, and this subject has come up not only here, statewide, now it's a national topic. These are the flock license plate cameras. And, of course, these are not traditional traffic enforcement cameras issuing speeding tickets. It's a system that photographs license plates and record details such as your make of vehicle, the model, color, location, date, and time. So I have to start off with, first of all, can you explain this company Flock, and how did Oconee get involved in the Flock cameras?
Flock, of course, back up, and I told council this, you know, license plate readers have been around for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Started in the UK, I think, in 76. And we've seen them over the years. Deputies, we never did have one in Oconee, but used to, you'd put them on the side of the car like a radar unit.
I do remember seeing those.
You know, and when you met a car,
you could hit a button and it would scan.
If the vehicle was stolen, you'd know it, and you'd turn around and go catch that person.
Okay.
So that's kind of how they started, and they advanced to the being able to put on the back glass of the outside of the patrol car, and then I know Richland County, South Carolina, Sheriff Lott was the first county in South Carolina to start implementing the license plate reader cameras as we know them today as technology has advanced. Flock, it's just the name of a company. You know, there's other companies. There's other companies that do the similar things that Flock does. I guess one advantage that Flock has promoted is that, you know, is the network capability of cameras all over the United States. Right. You know, you can buy your camera, but yet you can search other cameras, and so that's kind of promoted and pretty much. You know, we've got 5, you know, as I've told council, but there's some agencies, Chester County, I know, gosh, they've got 60, 70. Greenville's got 50, 60. I mean, they're you know, very numbers, and you can go on this, you can look them up online, and they'll tell you what each jurisdiction has. $3,000 a camera, and so we're spending $15,000 a year, and you know, for us, you know, Jeff, I see this, you know, I told you just a little bit earlier, we'll never replace good old-fashioned police work.
Right.
You know, it's always got to be, eyes
on the eyes and yes,
talking and interviewing.
Right.
But I think as technology advances, we need to look at that, and if it can help us keep our citizens safe, then that's something we need to do.
How does it with the technology, the information it stores? I think that is a big stickler right now that a lot of folks have questions about. That we talk about the Anderson and Med having issues with cyber attacks. Mm-hmm. Kind of on the same lines here, you have a company that centrally stores all of this, and does this get into the wrong hands of people for bad things? I think that's where we have an issue right now, is that people are, with the amount of talk about secure your data and privacy and things like that. Have you had an instance where you had a deputy that had an issue that used these not for the legitimate purposes that it was made for?
I did. I had one when we first started. We could start in 22, and we found it internally. I didn't have a complaint, but it was an internal issue that we discovered on our audit. And we, as I told council, when we started with this, we tried to use progressive form of discipline like we do on all of our other issues. We try to work our way up to termination. But after that, I changed my mind. I said, if anybody else, it's going to be immediate termination. We disciplined that officer at that time. And there were some other issues that come up as well. But, that's, to me, that's the key. When I think about, at the end of the day, let me say this. I'm the one that's got to look you in the eye mm-hmm. and say, Jeff, we didn't recover your son or your granddaughter or your wife that was abducted. They went so and so and they murdered her. Mm-hmm. We didn't have this. If we had this technology, we might could have intercepted and saved them. But I'm the one that's got to live with that, and that's the part that bothers me a little bit about it. Because what we're using them for is good, but get back storing the data. Mm-hmm. It's the company stores this data for 30 days. On day 31, it's hard
gone.
delete,
mm-hmm.
and we've inquired, and I've got no reason to prove otherwise that after 30 days, this data is hard deleted. Now we talked about somebody hacking in. All right, if they hack in, what are they going to get? They're going to get a picture of your tag and a picture of your car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to have to hack into DMV to figure out who the tag number belongs to, because you can't just look a tag number up, on the internet. Is it valuable? It probably is in some form of way. I'm not trying to downplay it that it's not, but that's important. That of course they tell us that they secure they don't sell it to any third parties. Nobody else. That we actually own the data that's on our cameras, that they don't. And
so the sheriff's department. Let me clarify this. The sheriff's department actually owns the data.
That's yes, sir.
And but is the data stored in a national database?
But it is stored. It's in the cloud. It's a cloud.
Okay, cloud-based function here. From the time it does the picture thing, it sends it up wirelessly, I would assume, in the field, and then it's stored. But Oconee County technically owns the data.
That's correct. And we never search. I mean, we don't know it. We don't get a printout when you pass the camera. It don't print out at the sheriff's office. Jeff Bright passed. We don't know that. We don't have any idea. But how we do know is what we talk about. I think it's important that agencies are able to demonstrate oversight. If a law enforcement agency can't demonstrate oversight, then there need to be some concerns there. So for us, after you pass, all right, so we've got a crime, mm-hmm. whatever crime's committed.
Okay.
Then that's the first thing in this audit. When you log into Flock,
yep.
you put in what type of crime it is.
Yep.
And then I require you to put in our case number, which means we've got a report on file where Jeff called and reported a burglary.
Yeah.
So we've got that, and a blue car was seen leaving your residence.
Yeah.
Neighbor seen a blue car. May got a partial tag number, or maybe not, but we can search that. So we got a crime, we got a case number they have to put in, then they can search that, and then within 3 days, I'm making them go back into our records management system and do a supplemental report, and they've got to tell me how your search was connected to that tag number. I searched on such and such date, tag number or vehicle description because neighbor seen a blue sedan leaving the scene of the burglary.
So you have some checks and balances in this.
We do. We've added, and what that does, if you misuse it, one, I'm going to terminate you.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you've lied on that supplemental report, which is a misconduct according to the academy.
Right.
So it's going to cost you your certification. And I'm pushing Senator Alexander and our state legislator to make it a crime. Let's lock somebody up if they misuse this. To me, that's how valuable this technology can be for us if we use it the right way. It's no different, my gun.
Mm-hmm.
If I shoot you and you're unarmed, that can be used for bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's unconstitutional. Taser, baton, spray, any of our tools on our belt can be used for wrong. The internet, they can be used for good, can be used for bad.
Yeah.
So I'm and the thing about it, no court at this point has told us it's unconstitutional. The way that we're using it. Can it be used unconstitutionally? Absolutely. And I hope we get to a point that we can lock people up.
I think that's the biggest issue right now that a lot of us have.
I think, and Chairman Durham, I think, said it best. He said, Sheriff, I think the technology has gotten ahead of the legislation.
Oh, it has. Absolutely. There's so much advanced technology that the Constitution of the United States can't even keep up.
Yes, sir.
We are talking about search and seizures or the Fourth Amendment and stuff. We've blown past that with all of what's available ready that's happening with technology. And at some point here, there's going to be some serious conversations with our Congress and our federal government because we've grown. Technology's grown, and it hasn't kept up.
No.
Let me ask this question before we get ready to wrap it up here at the 7:31. Who inside Oconee County Sheriff's Office, of course, is authorized to search the flock cameras?
Good question. I didn't include that. I've got about 125 deputies, but I only got 31 users, 31 people. Basically, it's my 10 investigators, my 7 or so narcotics agents, my first sergeant and staff sergeant on each of my shifts, 4 uniform patrol shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another 8. And then my PACE unit, Sergeant Mulway's unit, some folks on that unit has access to it that does some interdiction stuff. And that's it.
So you've curtailed a lot of the folks to basically the upper staff.
The upper staff, I want veteran, seasoned people that's operating this. And, they do that monthly audit. The captains do. And, not only do they do the audit, I've got them going back through and spot checking, doing random checks as well. And to me, that's the most important thing. Can an agency provide its citizens oversight for this technology? A lot of agencies probably can't. And we need some oversight. And I'm all for it. I support that 100%. But I can tell you this. I ain't going to say the deputy won't never misuse it. But if they do, we're going to catch them.
Right.
And we hope, we want to use it for good. We want to use it to keep citizens safe. And I've heard there's some people got some quotes, and I can't dispute that. If you give up freedom or safety for freedom, you deserve neither. Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, right.
I get that. I do. But I'm just asking the people, let's see where this goes legislatively. And let's see where this goes from a court standpoint, because as long as they've been around, no courts yet have told us they're unconstitutional.
And the other thing I was going to tell you about too, Greenville County, they had an issue today,
yes, sir.
Where they had to fire a deputy for the misuse of these flock cameras.
Yep.
All right, one more question. We're going to get off flock. I think
that doesn't help us none.
Yeah, that just makes it where everybody's questioning everything now.
We may end up losing this technology. There's a lot of people against it, and I get that. And it's not just Oconee County, it's South Carolina, it's nationwide, but just think about this, who's pushing this on the national level? I don't know. But we have Duke Power right here in Oconee County.
Well,
I don't want no terrorists showing up here, and that can be a good tool, a good deterrent.
I don't want to look down the street and see
I
a
don't want to be
mushroom
the first
cloud
agency
either.
that loses them, and they
Yeah.
say, well, let's go to Oconee County. We got a good target there.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at right now.
All right, I want to talk about a cold case real quick that's made the news here in just the last few days, and then we'll wrap it up here with your interview here. And this is actually, is this the oldest case that we've got in Oconee County? Not the oldest,
we've got
but
one a little bit older.
Which one?
Jimmy Whitfield.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
That's the oldest that I know of.
But this one here was 1986. This one's 40 years old. Tell us a little bit about the latest update with that.
Yep. Mark Lee lived on Old Seneca Road there at the Clearmont Bridge. Mm-hmm. In 1986, we're coming up on 40 years. Mark was brutally murdered in his home. I wasn't at the sheriff's office then, but they followed up. Sheriff Singleton at the time was the chief deputy, and I think he investigated that case and followed up on a lot of leads. And I've got some of my investigators now assigned to work in cold cases.
Is Jimmy Dixon still leading that? Captain Dixon?
He is. Captain Dixon is still leading that. But investigators, they went through the file and they saw this sketch that was done back on this case file. We couldn't find anywhere in the case file that it was released. I'm sure it was, but we decided we would put it back out there because there's nothing that never identified this person that was seen near the home at the time of the death. So that's the reason for this sketch that being put back out again, just to see, because apparently nobody never identified them back when it was released in '87, whenever it was done. So we're still actively working that case. I've met with the family recently on that, and we've got some reward money that's available for information that comes through that. But that's certainly a prayer every day, a burden that I carry every day, is to be able to bring closure to some of these families.
And we do. We still have a few of missing persons that's not been accounted for and has just gone cold.
And you think about that, your child's missing, and you don't know where they're at, and they need a proper burial.
They do.
If anybody has any information on any of these cold cases, you can remain anonymous through Crime Stoppers. If you want to talk to me personally, I'll be glad to meet with you somewhere, and because we're actively, and technology's advanced DNA. We've got some advancements in DNA, so we're looking at some stuff now on some of these cases. They're solving some cases on genealogy DNA. So maybe it's not your DNA, but it's your father or mother.
Somebody
they're able to trace
in the tree line. Yeah,
and connect you back to it. So there's some advancements there as well.
Absolutely. Mike, I really appreciate you taking the opportunity. I think this would be good, and it's good for folks to hear straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, about the things that are happening within the Sheriff's Department of Oconee County. I can't thank you enough for all the things you've done. I made you a promise in 2012 that I would support you as long as you wanted to run for sheriff, and you have done a wonderful job representing this county. It was a tough time to get there, but you did it.
It was.
But I'm proud of everything that you're doing, and I'd like to have you back in probably sometime in the fall to have a follow-up. And let's do this.
Let's follow up. I got some things on the horizon that I'd like to discuss.
Okay.
What the future looks like for us.
Okay. Well, Mike, as you leave, a parting gift is on that chair. You take that to Kim because she's going to want one. There's a new radio station shirt and 4 koozies.
Yeah, she'll love it.
She'll love it. And again, I appreciate you coming here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Mike Crenshaw joined us here on the Pod Stirrer podcast. And again, we thank Mike for joining us here on this Monday evening here on the show. We've got a whole line of other things that are coming up here. And one of those that we're going to be talking about, there is a potential. You can go. Yeah, you're good. You're off camera. No, you're good. No, we're going to go right on in. And they're right there on the take. There's 2 shirts right there, and those right there, the koozies goes with them. Put your Diet Mountain Dew in it. Yeah. Okay. Very good. You're welcome. And there's 2 shirts for you. All right. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about some other things going on. The Pod Stirrer has got how do I describe it? The folks over in Pickens County, the emergency services, we got a nice little letter about some of the folks that were EMTs that took a course and became paramedics. There's just one problem. Unfortunately, Pickens County is not paying them what they're supposed to be paid. So we're going to follow up here in the next several weeks on that, on what's happening over in Pickens County. But I did want to address something that has made its way across social media yesterday. and it is involving a former deputy sheriff named Dale Colgrove, and some of you may know that name. Dale, he owns DCT Detection, a GPS tracking company that tracks inmates and things. And the story I've been asked is, do I think that this story is true? Well, let me break the story down about Dale Colgrove, and let me tell you what I know to be facts. Well, first of all, there was a federal lawsuit that was filed in January 2025, but it was January 21st. Natasha L. Priest in the Southern District of Ohio. The listed defendants included the City of Seneca, Seneca Police Department with 2 employees, Dale and Tanya Colgrove, and officials and officers connected to Westerville, Ohio. That is real. However, the filing of the lawsuit does not establish the allegations are true, and a complaint represents the plaintiff's claims. Of course, every defendant has the right to answer and challenge those claims and present evidence. Now, the public docket snapshot I reviewed lists the complaint and amended complaint, but it does not establish the current outcome of the litigation. And therefore, I'm not going to tell you that anyone has been found liable when I have not seen any final judgment. According to the allegations, though, previously reviewed, the dispute involved welfare checks, communications between individuals in South Carolina and law enforcement in Ohio, and an arrest and questioning surrounding interstate extradition. The complaint alleges that private individuals and government officials acted together in ways that violated the plaintiff's constitutional rights. Now, again, those are allegations. They're not proven facts. But the allegations raise legitimate public questions. It talks about things with information did Seneca Police provide to law enforcement in Ohio. Was there a valid warrant? Who requested the extradition? What records existed before the arrest? Were officers relying upon verified court information? And were they relying upon statements made by private individuals? And also the big one is, what, if any, did Dale or Tanya Colgrove have in communication with Seneca Police or the Westerville officials in Ohio? Well, we're private citizens merely providing information, and we're there directing the government action. So, again, has City of Seneca independently reviewed the telephone calls, email dispatch recordings, and all of this? I don't know that there's any impropriety on the Seneca City Police Department. I don't believe that to be the case. Now, court records does show that Dale Colgrove, now these are facts, was serving as the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, and he conducted the traffic stop that became the central to a South Carolina Supreme Court case involving Terry Tyndall. And this goes back a little bit. And a Fourth Amendment question came up then. The established Colgrove's involvement in the historic stop. It does not prove that every accusation now being made about him, but there was where people need to be careful. I have seen this story circulating online, and personally, I believe some of it has truth. Not a lot of it, but some of it. My belief is not in evidence. A Facebook post is not evidence in this story. A rumor repeated 500 times still is just a rumor, just one of the better things. The answer is not to protect powerful people. It's not to convict people through social media. The answer is to get to the truth. I read it. I'm not declaring Dale Colgrove guilty of anything tonight, but I believe that the story does have some validity to it. There's some parts of it that I don't think is accurate. I think it's far-fetched. But when it talked about the GPS tracker that was placed on the individual's vehicle for tracking purposes, I can honestly say I believe that. And you're asking, how do I know that? Well, in 2012, I had a GPS tracker placed on my vehicle by Dale Colgrove because of my support for a then sheriff's candidate, James Barty. The local newspaper owner spent $60-something thousand claiming that I was coming to kill his family. Now, this is all public record, by the way. SLED investigated. SLED cleared me. SLED also said that the accusation was clearly crazy. But Dale Colgrove was involved in that GPS tracking in 2012. He was the one that put the GPS tracker on my truck at the time. And again, the local newspaper owner paid $60-something thousand to track me and alleged that I was coming to kill his family, which again was far from the truth. No conviction. SLED just looked at me and shook their heads and went on about their business. But that's where I do believe that some of this could be true about the tracking. Because if it happened to me, it could happen to you. And that did happen to me. And that happened in 2012. So, again, you have to take it for a grain. I guess there is a lawsuit. And I'm just giving you the stats here and things so that you're aware of it. But some of it I think is far-fetched, but some of it I think is kind of true in this story. And again, it's going to take a little bit of time. We'll have to wait and see. We'll continue to follow up that. But it was shared, and I had a lot of folks reach out to me asking me that. Do I think the story was true? And I think some of it is. I think some of it's not. But, I'm saying the questions are serious enough that public officials, don't ignore this. And, again, I hope that the public, that you deserve answers, whether it be supporting documents, not whispers, not political friendships, and, again, not personal grudges. But, when a story like that comes, you kind of want to know if it's the truth. And I think some of it is the truth. Well, King Ronnie, ladies and gentlemen, August the 11th, and the Seneca budget. Are y'all paying attention? I want to make sure you're paying attention because what I've got to say is going to be very important. Because now before we close down the show, let's travel down to the royal court known as Seneca City Hall. I hear, ladies and gentlemen, that King Ronnie is not particularly care for me. Wow. After I worked so hard. Now, I cannot confirm what Mayor O'Kelly, the king, said. I can't confirm his heart. I simply say that I'm probably not sitting at the top of the royal Christmas card guard list. I don't think I'm going to get a Christmas card from the king. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. I'm not here to be liked by every mayor, every council member, every administrator, or even a department head. I'm here to ask questions. And August the 11th is coming. By the way, there is a council meeting tomorrow night, but there won't be no vote taken on the Seneca Light and Water budget because I think somebody's out of town and they don't want to surprise the vote upon us. So anyway, the August 11th meeting could become a very important city council meeting. Now let me explain. I am hearing a rumor. And let me emphasize that it's only a rumor. So if you're watching, you saw me shake my head. But anyway, I want certain people that are watching the show to think it's a rumor, but it's not. Until it appears on the official agenda, that could see yet another amendment change. What? I mean, we're going to change the amendment again? Just when we try to explain to you what the latest is, I don't know, maybe not, but I'm hearing we potentially are going to have another amendment change. But if it does, that would make a potentially number 4 amendment change. The budget is a whack-a-mole. Let's just be honest with you. The Seneca Light and Water budget is a complete whack-a-mole. It started out, cost of service increase, and then all of a sudden, again, I want to reiterate this. Dana Moore told you who was responsible about voting for the $15 flat fee. He told you that in the council meeting. If you forgot and you don't remember, he said it was the local newspaper. Well, we all know the local newspaper. We all know who's in charge of the local newspaper. Even though he's not supposed to be, he is. And he's still controlling the city. So that's why it's, the kingpin and then the king mayor and then the minions. Still controlling everything. If you haven't read the Seneca Journal, you need to, because Saturday there was an editorial in the whole paper that just really blew it out of the water. Because if you read their editorial, They now try to put the blame on Scott Mulder's responsible for all of this. In reality, Dana told you who was responsible for it. If you go back to that June meeting, he sat there and he told you who was responsible. Well, anyway, the vote came and it got defeated. So no $15 flat fee, 119% increase. But now it just keeps getting worse and worse. So we had Scott tell us, last week before last, that, here's what's going to happen. And again, cost of service. Well, now, if you read that editorial, it's like, oh my God, what is it? Is it 24%? Is it 22%? Well, it's not going to really go up. Your guess is as good as mine is how much your Seneca light and water bill is about to go up. Because I don't even think council knows. Because, again, they're in the dark. There is one thing in that editorial that the Journal did get right. I believe our Seneca City Council are being left in the dark. I don't think they're being told everything that needs to be told. So I don't think that some of them can make accurate decisions when it comes right down to it, because guess what? They're being left in the dark. And that brings us down to the question, how much more is the average family going to have to pay monthly? Here it is going on August. Saturday will be August the 1st. You do not have, you're on a continuing resolution from last year's budget. So pay raises, all of that. But then we get the news report from the Journal. I told you this was going to happen. I pointed it out when they started talking about the budget, but no one paid any attention. I did, and I tried to tell you. Published reports say licensing fees will increase approximately, this is business license, 45 to 65%. Depending upon the classifications. Now, base fees increase by 15 for most classes and a whole bunch of other things. And city licenses are generally calculated using the gross receipts, and they must be renewed annually. Don't you think we tax the businesses enough that we're having to go up, in some cases, 65%? Now, the story goes is that, that's what everybody else is doing. Well, if everybody else jumped off the bridge, would the city of Seneca jump off the bridge? Just because everybody's raising their money is because you didn't have your shit together, and now you're having to dominate the businesses by going up 65% on certain businesses. You got to have money. You got to have money to run that fine art center that you don't even have a line-eyed budget in for it. You got all this other stuff. Can we not quit spending money? Now, I need to explain something to everybody. And I need to explain. There's a bunch of folks out there posting on social media concerning about, why did we spend all this money in 4th of July and Christmas? I need to explain something to you about that. Your tax dollars, technically general fund money and stuff like that, is really not being used to pay for the special events in Seneca. For example, Jazz on the Alley, the Christmas lights that you enjoy, and all this other stuff. Most of that is paid for by HAT, hotel and accommodation taxes. Those are the cost of people that come into Seneca that spend money at a hotel. They're taxed a certain percent. You buy food inside the city, that's taxed a certain percent, but it's not what you would say regular taxpayer money. You know, people pay for that stuff, and that's an additional tax. That's used for the tourism-related stuff. Again, you have to use it for that. You can't use it for anything else. It has to be used for the tourism side of it. If you're putting on a festival or event, June 13th, all of that. So I want folks to understand that the July 4th, that's already earmarked and paid for, because that money has to be used for those earmarks. It has to be used for tourism-related stuff. So when you say that we need to quit having these events, not necessarily, because they're paid by people that are coming into the city. You pay for them. Everybody pays for them. So those are how some of these events are put on. And I needed to clarify that because a lot of folks don't understand how these events are paid for. But again, the 4th of July, it's hotel. It's H tax, hotel and accommodations tax. So anyway, I wanted to explain how that That works. So here's what business owners deserve before August the 11th. Do you really want me to tell you what you deserve before August 11th? How about just show us what's your plans for the $3-something million in tax revenue? Show us what a business earning $100,000 in gross revenue paid last year. How about show us what that same business maybe would pay this year? Do the same calculations at $250,000 to $500,000 and tell us which portion of the increase was required by changes to the statewide classification schedule and which portion, okay, was a local decision to raise additional revenue. Municipalities were required to adopt an updated standardized classification schedule, but that does not automatically answer every question about those rates that Seneca chose. And tell us, what are you going to do with the additional money City Hall expects to collect? Property taxes went up. We have no idea yet on the utility rates. We really don't know. Business license fees, well, they're gone up. That's already a done deal, by the way. You can't. That's a done deal. They're going up, and all you businesses could go down there and protest tomorrow. But that's a done deal. At some point, taxpayers have the right to ask City Hall, what do they intend to do to tighten the belt in the mess that only a few created? Only a few created this. Well, Jeff, you're being so hard. No, only a few created this. The citizens of Seneca were hoodwinked. We talked about snookered last week at the county council meeting. Some of you got snookered because, my friends, all of this has been going on for at least 8 years. 8 years, all of this is going on. It was just covered up very well. And the changing of the guards and some things caught up with each other. And I will tell you something else, too. Some of this caught up because they quit getting free money from the state of South Carolina. Oh, did you say that, Jeff? Yes, I did. Because they didn't get any free money last year. They didn't get grant money last year. Zero. Oh, my God. How much grant money did they get? 22 million, 10 million, 40, 50. I don't know how much grant money they got in 5 years, but it was a lot. And at some point, the taxpayers, they got a right to know. Now, Mayor O'Kelly, the king, does not like me. Council does not have to enjoy these questions. However, I will say this. I really don't have a problem with anybody on council right now because I am actually seeing some good things. And I'll call it out as I see it. Right now, I see Dana Moore. I see Lakeisha. I see W.C. Honeycutt. I see Denise Rosman. And I see Joel Ward. Matter of fact, Scott Durham, he voted. It was 7-2 last time. That ought to tell you something. You went through all of this, and on the first reading of the cost of increase, you still had 2 people voted against it. You had the mayor and the former mayor voted against it. Even the proponents, including E. Riley, who didn't vote for it, voted for the cost of service increase. And again, it should tell you something when your former Seneca Light and Water Director, Bob Ferris, when he came before and told that was a bad idea, he told you, and he was long time, he was there for years. He was the director of Seneca Light and Water. He told you. And then you even had Josh Ritchie's, who, by the way, you've not heard me talk bad about Josh Ritchie's on this show. I've not said one bad thing about Josh Ritchie's because you know what? Josh Ritchie's gets some brownie points. He gets a kudos because when he was asked the important question by W.C. Honeycutt, what's the best, or which, as far as the budget, what do you recommend? Do you recommend the flat fee or the cost of service increase? Josh was candid. Josh looked right at him and didn't miss a beat and said cost of service. So I kind of believe that Josh actually is doing the job that he intended to do, but I don't even know if he can do it. Because I still think that, well, Travis Watkins says it. And here it is. Travis, Mulder, Alexander, and O'Kelly. Don't y'all think it's weird that you had the mayor step down, run for city council, and then the mayor pro tem run for mayor? I don't even know where that's ever happened anywhere in South Carolina. Your former mayor steps down, runs for city council, and then your mayor pro tem runs. You need to attend this meeting. Now, we're going to carry the meeting August the 11th. I'm going to be right here on Tuesday. I'm going to carry it. We're going to broadcast it. We'll have commentary afterwards. But you need to read the supporting documents. I'll get you the documents. I'll post them on my social media page. You can share them. I'll post the agenda. But I'd like to see the actual budget posted. I haven't seen it. You got to attend, folks. Come August the 11th, you need to show up to City Hall, and you need to get on it, and you need to voice your opinion. Because I'm telling you, enough is enough. I don't know how much longer I can continue to drag this out, and, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. Politicians may dislike the heat, but I'll tell you what, the old pot stirrer, by the way, I'm going to be here. I mean, this is my home. Oconee County is my home. Seneca is my home. I was born and raised here. Seneca has been good to me. The community, you've been good to me. You have supported me. You have helped me in times of sickness. You were there during my heart attack. You were there when I had back surgery. The community as a whole has been good to me. But I'd be damned if I'm sick and tired of seeing this administration staff just totally. Everything that's happened in the city of Seneca is eerie similar that happened in Oconee County all the way back 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and up until he left. It's there. And I'm telling you, October the 15th, and I'll be getting you more information on that. October the 15th, be ready. Because there is a forensic audit that we're going to find out a little bit more about on the 15th of October. And as we get a little bit closer, we will be there. Richard, good evening to you. I thank you for being up on the show tonight. The Three Stooges of Oconee. Yeah, but you've missed one. You've missed the Kingpin, Richard. You got to put the Kingpin in there. The Kingpin and the Minions. Judy, thank you for checking in. I know it's a mess. It is completely a mess. And it's just getting worse and worse. All right. Well, that is it for tonight. Again, a special thanks to, we want to thank Sheriff Mike Crenshaw for coming in on the show tonight and addressing the comments. Far as flock cameras, I think that we still have a lot of conversations that need to be discussed about this. And I think that, again, I don't think the Constitution has caught up with the technology. I really don't. I think we're still struggling to come to the grip with how technology has changed and how technology continues, but the Constitution is whole, it's complete, and it is the law of the land. And I think we're going to have to, going forward, to have serious conversations. But again, I'm afraid to have those conversations because, my God, if you have those conversations, you're labeled either as a fascist or racist or whatever else. You can't have the conversations like that. And again, I think this country's at a tipping point. It really is. But as long as we're here, we're going to stir the pot. And again, I thank you all. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight on the Pot Stirrer podcast. And again, we'll keep you up to date. I don't have any updates about the Corrette Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department situation. I had somebody ask that. But coming up in the next show, and I'll let you know, we've got to have a conversation about our friends across the river over in Pickens County. There is definitely an issue with the emergency medical services team over there. They sent off several folks to get their paramedic. They had to spend 18 months getting their paramedic register certified, and they're not even making the paramedic pay. They're still making EMT pay. So we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to reach out to Alex Atata and see if Alex wants to join us here on the Pot Stirrer. I don't mind going over across the river in Pickens County. I spent 20-something years over there working at Clemson University. And speaking of Clemson University, in the next podcast, I'm going to share something interesting with you. A professor has got a little headline on his sheets that he sends out that talks about Clemson being on borrowed land. You won't believe it, but it's a professor at Clemson University that is, well, he's really stirring the pot. All right, folks, I want everybody to have a good evening. And, hey, and even Lamont knows. He's over in Pickens County. He says, good evening, my brother. Boy, y'all have a mess on y'all's hand. You got that right. We do. We have a complete mess on our hands. But we're going to get to the end of it. We're going to get straightened out, and it may take us a little time. What is it, short time to get there? I'm eastbound just watching old Scott Mulder run. It's coming. All right, folks, I hope you have a great evening. Thanks for joining us tonight here on the Pod Stirrer Podcast. The show's available right now on our social media page, and also it'll be available on the website at the end of the show at JazzyJeffPodStirrer.com. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks for watching the show tonight.
From the back roads and courthouse steps of small-town South Carolina to the late-night studio where the mics never sleep, this is where decisions, rumors, and real stories collide. You're tuned in to the Pod Stirrer Podcast with Jazzy Jeff. Real talk, local issues, no fluff.